our dear friend, Rusty Rimshot, Russell Brand, has been in his trek across, after he's got his people out of Israel and I guess technically out of the Pharaoh's clutches, and has been wandering around the desert trying to find a political direction, and has settled on the Alex Jones promised land of selling lead-lined dick pills to maggots under the pretense that he's the hippie Alex Jones. He's the easier, Rusty Rimshot. That's his Twitter thing, isn't it? Rusty Rimshot, is that right? I know I'm getting that right. Anyways, he's been monetizing the illusion of being lefty probably better than anyone since Jimmy Dore, who is an authoritarian clown, by the way, and has driven people to murder other human beings, and so therefore fuck him. But hey, what's not to like in a millionaire Marxist? You know what I mean? They're fun. So, but this one is titled. For a while, he's been dicking around with titles on his clips and his episodes that are kind of on the fence. Like, can you believe that governments are saying this? The UN might try something like this. Is this real? Like, let's hold on. Let me see if I can. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Go to YouTube. Type in Rusty Rimshots. And whoops, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Rusty Rimshot should come up. Yep, there it is. And if you go to Russell Brand, hold on.
Look,
it's my site. I've got a site, right? Look. So if you look at his site, Russell Brand new live show, tickets on sale, 33, which I'm sure is some reference to Freemasons with my luck. Or that's how old he is now, and he thinks that's wizened. But nice artwork, by the way. I don't know why this woman is trying to read his shirt, but the bald guy's like, "Did you fart?" But okay. It has him listed as British comedian on his site, whereas he kind of looks like a messianic figure on this, And if you look at his videos and the titles of his videos, most of the time it is. I'm just asking questions. That bullshit, right? Metaverse. Now he wants your prayers. This is sinister. They must think we're suckers. This is insidious. Seriously? If this isn't bribery, then what is? Hang on, Black Friday deals are what now? We're being conned. And he's got these, like, he grabs a, oh my God, face thing and has them thrown in there with it. Vaccine mandates. This is what history warns us. Warns us about? This is what history warns us? I don't know. They invented the fucking language. They can use it however the fuck they want. Or our leaders are losing it. This is alarming. And he's got Boris Johnson and Biden, and they both look like they've just forgotten where they are. Crazy mess. Pfizer whistleblower slams vaccine trials. Shameful. This is how Bill Gates and billionaires are what? Hijacking our future. So most of the time, it's kind of low-level conspiratorial paranoia bullshit, right? Where you really wouldn't know per se what his political leanings were. And as a matter of fact, in this one with Boris Johnson and Biden, you'd think, well, he's kind of half and half, right? He's making fun of the conservative leader over there and the Democratic leader over here. And let's see, hang on, it's a trap. This is terrifying. Think elites are scamming you? Watch this. It's like he took a course on clickbait at YouTube University. It's just fucking stupid. So anyways, in the process of this, this is the video clip art that came up on this one. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, which Facebook and Instagram, same fucking company, but okay. And this guy his mouth is taped shut with masking tape, obviously, which is, I guess his girlfriend was about to spray paint his face and she wanted to create a cool pattern. If you wanted to go with this, you might want to go for a duct tape shot. The no hate people have got lots of those. They're kind of cooler looking. But the title of this one is The Turning Point. You're being silenced, all caps, how the left became puritanical and shut you up. Oh, dear me. I did not realize I had been shut up. This is a concerning point. You probably didn't know that the left shut you up and that you're being shut up and that you're being silenced, in quotes. So he says this, and I'm guessing that this word was said louder than the others since they're in quotes. How the left became puritanical and shut you up. Russell Brand, November 30th. 6,439 views, 545 rumbles. Don't let that upset you, Rusty Rimshots. I'm sure. Let it hang around for a little while, and this will gain steam. By February, people will catch on to the warning you were giving us. Okay, and this will be an ad.
Hey everybody, stop clicking around. I am in the woods with some water going in the background near my...
Do you feel you're being silenced by...
Okay, hold on. All right, I mean, he's a fucking grown man. This is what's happening. Let's see. See if I can go. No, it'll be on here. No, that won't work. Maybe it will. Hold on. Let's do this. Hello. Listen to me. I know all. I have over 10,000 words for the same kind of snow. Join me. All right. Russell, you're a grown man. It's not cold. Look at all the firewood you have behind you. Make a fucking fireman. And clearly we know he does not have a cat because this would never survive. And he also does a podcast, so he has headphones over here because apparently when you make you have to cover both your ears like you're a singer when you do this. Okay. So, anyways, sorry,
Do you feel...
Rusty Rimshots, half Yeti, half asshole with Messiah complex. Please continue.
Or being silenced by out-of-control government power, chances are that that's exactly what's happening. I spoke to Brad Evans, who is a...
Hold on. That's not what this says. How the left became puritanical and shut you up. Okay, now back the fuck up there, my little brony. Do you feel like what?
Feel you're being silenced by out-of-control government power? Chances are that that's exactly what's happening. I spoke...
That's right. Guys, come on. Out of control government power. That's what it is. The Democrats, which have like a 50-50 split in the Senate and have just taken over the presidency. Trump's only been out of power since January, and your rights are completely shredded. Now, for the record, Russell Brand lives in a monarchy and does not have an absolute freedom of speech like we do in the United States. He doesn't have the right to freedom of speech. It's not codified in their country in any way. So maybe leave the monarchy. Maybe not fuck around with monarchies. I'm sorry, go ahead, my little brony.
To Brad Evans, who is a professor of philosophy at Bath University.
Okay, hang the fuck out for a second. Hold on. When the fuck did... I have to find... It's like... I gotta go to YouTube for this. Hold on. Hold on. See if I can find something here. When did this happen?
All parts of your body. Why is the actual heartbeat so old-fashioned? Boom, 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 boom.
That's a built-in mechanism in the heart that is, it's electrical.
But surely, like, my homies out there would be more into looking after their heart.
Right.
We talk about Foucault, Nietzsche, violence by out of control government power. Chances are that that's exactly what's happening. I spoke to Brad Evans, who is a professor of philosophy at Bath University.
Yo, he like the professor of all like things smart and right. And I know I'm just a dummy, so I'm just asking fucking questions.
We talk about Foucault, Nietzsche, the impossibility of communication between people from different political camps. How are we going to get...
Oh, so you jerked each other off. I'm sure that this is a clip from his behind the paywall podcast. You know, because that's freedom.
Out of this tribalism? Is there a way out of Puritanism, authoritarianism in all of its forms? This conversation took place on my podcast, Under the Skin, available from Luminary, to which you can subscribe if you wanna. Stay to the end of this clip, tell me what you think about this conversation, and tell me...
I think you should build a fucking fire. Authoritarianship and Puritanism.
How are we going to create new spaces for dialogue, discussion, and...
Yeah, we need like a safe space where everyone who wants to wear a hoodie indoors in a warm climate when it's perfectly fine outside can do so.
Change. How would you use your pre-existing rubric of analysis, in particular with regard to this?
And I'm sorry that I'm wearing a bathrobe and I got to hold it closed, but I forgot we'd scheduled this, and I was like, oh shit, right? So I'm on the can. I was in I don't have time to dry off. And honestly, it's a bit nippy out, right? And normally I let it hang all down, right? But not today. Yeah?
Pandemic.
Shit. And here we have a man who has taken the inner workings of his brain and the linear connections of his thoughts and the functionality of the tactics and ideas that he likes to think about, and has made them into a painting behind himself. This is how someone lets you know that they've thought shit through.
What do you think about what's going on in places like Australia?
I think you ought to get a roller for one. Seriously, man. I mean, I would get my colon checked.
Vis-a-vis authority.
Oh, we got 666. I don't think it's a mistake that we got 666 people in the chat room right as Rusty Rimshots gets started. So please feel free to give $6.66 super chats. Bless you and thank you. And here we go.
And how has liberalism, with all of its initial emphasis on freedom, has become antithetical to that in practice? And do you even agree with that analysis?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was great. Use my question. I sounded really good right then. Who are you signaling to? If there's someone else there, could they tell you to put some clothes on while you're doing your show? Christ, man, I have a bathroom right there. I have the decency to shower before the show.
I think I've often found, in terms of analysis of power, if the location of power looks obvious, it's probably not situated there, right? So you know.
Yeah, you might think you live in a democracy, but it's probably George Soros and the UN and the deep state. And Jesus Christ.
And I often felt that Trump was very much a distraction, and a powerful distraction.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I don't know why you were worried about what Trump was doing or any of the things that he tried to do and the stuff that he said. I mean, if you're not in the groups he was constantly denigrating, I mean, it's really just kind of a distraction. You know what I mean? The way he talked about trans people or Muslims or any of that. No, I mean, and it's just a distraction unless you're one of those people and your life is fucked by the decisions he would make, having the absolute levers of power as the leader of the free world, and the trickle down from the shit he said insofar as authoritarian regimes across the world taking their cues from this fuckhead. But it's a distraction. Guys, this is just to keep you busy.
But a distraction nonetheless to the wider operations of power, And we knew historically, if you want to understand, good old-fashioned state power in the United States of America, it was never George Bush, it was always Dick Cheney. There was always something behind this that's kind of operating, and that's how real power operates. Now,
yeah, totally. It wasn't Trump. Trump, he was a distraction. The whole thing was orchestrated by Pence. The whole hang Mike Pence thing was one of the most clever camouflages of a true leader operating behind the scenes, along with him and Kevin McCarthy, who was screaming to not get killed from the Capitol during the January 6th thing. He was just screaming to be saved from a distraction.
In terms of thinking about, first of all, the legacies of someone like Trump, I find it extraordinary. First of all, let's not forget that Trump only came to power because of the power he was able to wield through social media. That was his mobilizing factor. But then we're in a situation.
And for the record, assholes who thought he was just kind of a distraction.
Where, if you talk about religions always have these narratives of salvation. And there comes a moment where the social media companies suddenly say, you know what, we're going to save you from this guy, right? We're going to become the political salvation because we now recognize that this guy is dangerous. And actually en masse, literally throw, an elected president of the United States of America off these platforms, right? Now you think, well, some of...
No. They didn't just en masse throw him off the platform. He said all kinds of rank shit for years. He violated the terms of service on these sites, private sites, that, by the way, take up no geographical space, so it's not the same as not letting him enter a mall or a fucking building where the roads paid by taxpayers lead there. These are American companies, but they exist entirely in server farms. No one is ever muscled out because of the lack of operating space on one of these things. And Trump constantly overstepped what was legally available in terms of behavior for the average citizen all the fucking time. And finally, after he ginned up an attack on our own capital, the worst since the Civil War or the War of 1812, pick your poison, they finally went, all right, maybe he's rounding people up and driving them to violence. It might be time to pull the plug. Meanwhile, this fucker had the POTUS website. He had anytime he wanted to walk out to the podium, the news networks of the world would carry every word that he wanted to put out. He was denied no rights. He was denied no free speech. He wasn't able to skate past all the rules the rest of us live by, which in a democracy, no one is above the law. And no one else can skirt the law just because of their power and influence. In theory, that's how we should operate. It's actually a good thing when the standards are equal for everybody. And they were unequal for a long time. He was getting away with murder for so long that they finally went, fuck this. They categorically kicked him off, because they're Puritans.
Well, actually, we had too much of Trump in our headspace. But should these organizations, whatever we think of Trump, I've written very critically of him, but these companies should not have that power to...
The fuck they shouldn't. No government and no governmental entity should be able to force anyone to carry the message of any elected politician in the United States, period. That's integral. What kind of North Korean horse shit is this? No. This is insisting that private organizations and therefore private individuals can, by government fiat, be forced to carry the regular messaging, by the way, not emergency broadcasts, not Amber Alerts, but the regular chit-chat of another human being by force of the government. Beyond that, that it should be the leader of the country and that they must carry it. Are you out of your fucking mind? Look and look at Russell. Oh, it's such a good point, it's such a good point. Yeah, these companies have too much fucking power to not deny anyone free speech, just make everyone behave on the same level as everyone else. Oh, shit. The government should have the ability to force the president's words into the mouths and ears of every fucking American. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have to ask the networks to set aside an 8 o'clock slot so the president can do a fireside chat or talk to the country about him. They shouldn't have to ask. There should be an override button in the fucking White House. Because that's what he's asking for. That's what this fuckhead is asking for. This is what, and if Russell Brand goes, yeah, good point, which I do not doubt, he will be like, so true.
Basically, strip away the voice of a president of the United States.
Fuck you. They did no such thing. He's got his own personal website. He's got the presidential website. He's got a podium he can talk to from any time. And again, he can pick up the phone and call nearly any senator, governor, and institute his will upon the American people with very few limitations. So the idea that somehow he's being stripped of his fucking voice because after 30 or 40 or 100 times violating the terms of service that would have gotten the rest of us Americans, where no American is better than any other American, even if you have been elected by other fucking people, it would have gotten us kicked the fuck off. This argument is so, we've heard it from the right wing a bunch. As soon as Trump got kicked off, this was the primary argument of the right wing. And the fact that this dude is like, yeah, doesn't that seem how
of America. And I think that is, and to me, it was almost revealing how, it was almost like a case of where's Wally, right? Trump seemingly just disappeared from the planet.
Hi, fucko. First of all, it's where's Waldo? And secondly, he didn't disappear from the fucking planet. He had a website that was the United States government's website that he could put out almost anything he wanted to say. And if he wanted something campaign related, he had his own DonaldJTrump.com. He does release statements from there. He can all the time. You cannot strip away the standards of a social gathering. If the president of the United States wants to walk buck naked through a fucking mall, he can't. He is not being denied his right to free association if he walks into a mall tackle out. And the fucked up thing is, they would have let Trump do it dozens of times before the mall went, all right, fuck this. Sure, no one can see his dick anyways, but still it's freaking out the children.
And how can you make sense of that kind of disappearance of somebody who was in our headspace for so long and then almost fell off a cliff? And there was no kind of a way of...
What? Excuse me, my life is not operated with a gap in my soul that is only filled by the existence of Trump. What the fuck?
Kind of engaging with him in that way then. And I thought that was quite a real powerful moment in revealing where power kind of lies, right? In terms of...
It's kind of lies. Kind of lies. Like how this asshole kind of lies about every fucking thing.
Thinking about this. Now, your second point then is in terms of, what comes through this.
Look at Brandt. Yeah, so basically you said what I said, like when you were saying it, yeah? And then you said it, and then you're basically saying what I said was right even before I said it.
I agree in terms of any study of history where there's been a cataclysmic moment, we see how there is a fundamental danger of us collapsing into a new religion and into a new, and a new religion in a way which becomes, driven by a real kind of different Puritanism, and I'm kind of reminded, for instance.
Yeah. Ever since the Manson family in Jonestown and the existence of Scientology and Joel Osteen, the whole country's just been, we're this close to slipping into Puritanism. That's America, and they're talking about America. He doesn't mean fucking England. They don't give a fuck. They're talking about us. Yeah, we're this close to Puritanism. Yeah, because the Puritans were concerned with trans rights and pansexuals and good fucking God, and gay marriage. Yeah, it's a new kind of Puritanism where I call it impuritanism.
There's that very famous quote by Friedrich Nietzsche when he says, "God is dead."
that this fucker is going to quote Nietzsche to make the point that we're all right.
And we have killed him, right? If you read the full quote from Nietzsche, Nietzsche's is terrified by the death of God, because he goes on to say, you know, who are we going to become now? We've become the murderers of murderers, and he realized we would become gods in the place of God, and all.
Yeah, you've lost Russell there for a second, bruh. Can you like bring it around to how he's going to end up being a messiah? Yeah,
the violence that we would commit because we replaced God with a nation state, and he understood that we were creating a God more terrifying still, and I understood that, right? And this led to a particular.
Earlier in the book, section 108, Nietzsche wrote, God is dead, but given the way of men, there will be caves for thousands of years in which his shadow will be shown, and we will have to vanquish his shadow too. Now, does that sound that Nietzsche is concerned that the nation state is going to replace him and we need something else better in there? Let's go to the full in the Goodreads play. Here we go. Yeah? No, I don't want to do that. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? That's what he's talking about. What was holiest and mightiest of all the world has yet has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement? What sacred games shall we have to invent? Is it not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it? This is one of Nietzsche's bigger egotistical circle jerks. And Nietzsche is one of the people in life, in the arc of humanity, that simply became a philosophical cudgel because of timing and the printing press. It's kind of like early people in YouTube. You know, they gained ground because they were there for a long time.
Kind of puritanical politics. Now, I think we're in an age today where liberalism has collapsed, where the right itself is becoming more emboldened in its ideas of identity and sovereignty and so on.
Yes, liberalism has collapsed, but the right has become emboldened in their ideas of liberty. And remember, these are all positives. Listen to this dude's language. While the appearance of being balanced is necessary to being on this show and selling this raft of horse shit, ultimately, you'll hear glowing terms about the people he sides with on his own and negative terms against those that he thinks are the problem.
There's elements of the left which I find myself having absolutely nothing in association with whatsoever, because it's collapsed into a social media driven puritanism. I just simply don't recognize.
Yeah, look at Russell trying to appear masculine while chewing on a pen.
Myself in, because there's no nuance, there's no opportunity to have a viable critique in the middle. There's no, as you say, that.
But by the way, while this is going on, inside Russell's headphones,
prior to this pandemic, so many of us were writing critically about the excessive power of the state's right to ban comedy culture.
He's not listening to a fucking word.
The old, Giorgio Agamben wrote, what defines the sovereign state was its right to ban, its ability to ban things. That's its power, right? So we were writing critically about.
No. The sovereign state is not defined by its ability to ban things. To quote this dude's probably his favorite philosopher, Hannibal Lecter, that is incidental.
The state's right to ban. We were writing very critically about, the whole project of Michel Foucault was writing critically about the politics of health and how, biopolitics.
No. Okay, so Foucault is well, here, Michel Foucault is basically who, like the hard left uses to sort of define the idea that definitions are meaningless and that nothing means anything, and it's sort of a philosophical, almost it's nihilistic. It's grammatically or definitionally nihilistic.
Politics was always deeply political. So there's this radical movement which happens in the 1960s where we're critiquing the sovereign right to ban. We're critiquing, the politics of pharmacology. Not that we want to do away with medicine completely.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. That's what was happening in the 60s. In case you guys weren't keeping track, the 60s where people were doing acid and drugs and fucking around a lot and having a new sexual revolution, basically as a pushback against big pharma.
But we recognize there's a politics to it. Today, you can't question that, unless you want to be thrown in bed with the alt-right. It's kind of...
No. You can question it. You just can't assert that there are solutions to things when there are not, and pretend that what you heard about the possibility of maybe such a thing is on the same par with a clinically tested drug or things that have been through double-blind studies or that they've actually done human trials on. That's the problem. You don't get... I've written the word ivermectin a shit ton in tweets. Never gotten kicked off for promoting it. See the difference is the assertion of knowledge being on par with other knowledge is where you get in trouble in a lot of these areas, or where you don't even get in trouble. You just get fact-checked. But let's see. Let me try to see. I'm sure. Let's see. Here's a just in case if you wonder what Puritans used to do. This is, and understand, somebody getting in a Twitter timeout because they suggested somebody suck sour apple horse paste instead of getting vaccinated, and they get put in a Twitter timeout for 12 hours or 24 hours is the same as what's occurring in this picture. It's the new Puritanism, guys. This is what Puritans do. Yeah, this is. Let's see what else. Let's see. Here you go. Laying the heels in the bilbos. That sounds fun. Let's see. First Puritans took them was the bilbo as a way to punish sinners and lawbreakers. Poor Bilbo Baggins. According to Alice Morse Earl, the Spanish named it after its place of origin, Bilbao, Spain. They shipped bilboes to the Spanish Armada in anticipation of all the English prisoners they would have to shackle, because they tie these together on a stick and then they could drag them around by it. Let's see. They were simple but effective restraint. That's it. The Scarlet Letter, a wanton gospeler. Wickedness, a cleft stick. That sounds fun. Branding and maiming, which is basically like Russell branding and maiming, I think is what they used to call it back then. By the way, that's where Russell's namesake comes from, is the activity of burning an insignia into flesh, that of a human or an animal. And I don't know if he comes from a long line of herders, but more than likely there was plenty of this in his British family line. But this is basically the same thing. If you get put in a Twitter timeout, it's the same thing of being put in a stockade and being branded and whipped.
I know you've been kind of subjected to this yourself. If you're kind of standing in the middle and going, well, I don't know, can we just have a little bit of nuance here? Can we just actually just step back and criticize some of this?
It's funny, because I've done that and I don't have a problem, and neither is he. And if you look at what got him kicked off whenever he got kicked off, more than likely it was the assertion of a lie, and not, I'm just asking fucking questions.
Then you just instantly with the alt-right. And it becomes, well, how do we get to that situation where politics is not only tribal, but it's puritanically tribal, and I'm sure the vast majority of the public are going, well, hang about, right? I'm supporting a bit of the lockdown, but I recognize some people are losing their jobs, especially in the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry.
Yeah, that's the two groups most average people worry about: the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry. And you notice that a lot of people who worry about that stay home and watch and binge watch shows instead of going to live performances because they like entertainment so much, and they care so much about the hospitality industry that they're shitty to waiters.
And I'm concerned for their lives too. How do we kind of have a bit more nuance, and also, the way in which the pandemic becomes almost like an untouchable now, especially for certain elements of the left, I find deeply, deeply problematic.
Oh, it's very problem. Yeah, especially. Yeah. Why can't we be a bit balanced in how we discuss things? You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, why can't we discuss the fact that the left became puritanical and shut you up, and you never had any choice because you are being silenced? Why can't we have a nuanced conversation about this? Oi? Why can't we do that, yeah? I don't know. My goodness. I've gone cross-eyed. Why can't we have a balanced conversation? Rusty Rimshot, tell us all about it. Jump in there.
Especially, as I say, because I think what their arguments they're presenting are not actually politics at all. They're deeply theological. So.
How would you make the distinction, please, between their argument being theological and political? To help me understand that, please.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of...
Well, it's like when people put together an image and they shape that image to be sort of based on, the accepted idea of there's an image of people where they see what in their head. When you say Messiah, what image comes to mind? And it's the process of dressing and acting, visually in your movement, as much like that as possible to immediately jump straight to the center of psychological control over a total fucking stranger. It's a great trick, really.
The idea of the political is the political has to be always open to the possibility of new kinds of thinking. And it always...
Yeah. New kinds of thinking. That would be the hitch. Not the shit we've gone over already, like, hey, when there's an infectious disease and we got a lot of kids in school, maybe it'd be good if we had a vaccine, if everybody was able to, get that, so that when we intentionally gather all these kids together because it's the most efficient way to educate people, or if people want to go back to an office and they're cramped into a space and we know this disease lingers in the air for an hour after somebody has coughed it out and walked away, maybe, just maybe, that we should do something about that as a society, instead of like, I don't know about this whole science thing.
Has to be also, to me, my idea of the political also has to be transgressive. For it to be transgressive, it cannot be rooted in irrefutable morals, because we have no idea what the future is going to hold. I also...
Yeah. Yes, there's no such thing as irrefutable morals. I mean, if a president comes along and says, murder probably is the best way to solve our problems, since nobody's articulated that in our country for, a couple of thousand years on the continent. I mean, maybe not since the Mayans or the Aztecs, I suppose. At least they can
believe that there's something about the idea of being transgressive which requires a certain outrageousness. I believe, and that's why
No. Governmental management of the ordinary functions of society, which should be largely, most conservatives would argue, is what that should be confined to, and what most liberals and progressives would argue is the part that the government should handle so the rest of us can get on with it, is not radical and transgressive. I don't want radical transgressive roads or radical transgressive healthcare, for that matter. I mean, what's the argument here?
think, the history of comedy and art is so important politically because of its transgressive,
Ass kisser, by the way.
outrageous potentials. And, I'm thinking then very much in the spirit of someone like Oscar Wilde, who really recognizes the beautiful poetic spirit of being outrageous, because it's only by taking those risks that you can be transgressive.
By the way, Rusty Rimshot, if you're watching this later on, he's mocking your outfit. He's trying to kiss your ass, but at the same time, he thinks like you're gesticulating wildly while you do like this and pretend to be a dumbass, but I'm just asking questions, and you're kind of hippie Ali G bullshit with your beard and your long hair and the drapey clothes and the fucking messianic prayer bead looking necklace is all part of an image you're selling, and he recognizes that it's a brand, and he's just fucking with you. Just so you know. I
see none of that in terms of the so-called theological elements of the left today, where to be outrageous is to be jumped upon, to say something.
All right. Is there anything? Has anything been said in this actual fappery at all? To be outrageous is to be jumped upon. Yeah, that's why they're jumping on people who are, it's not that Lauren Boebert is genuinely bigoted and is a hypocritical piece of shit who is loose with handguns and their use, which is a dangerous precedent to set as an elected official. It's not that. It's just she's outrageous. She's just crazy. It's just too wild. I can't, we're not against the fact that she's a fucking bigot. It's just she's loud about it.
Bit that goes against the grain of their absolute moral certainties is some.
Well, there is a absolute moral certainty that an elected official who represents everyone in a district, including the people that didn't vote for them, shouldn't be an abject bigot, for example. But I'm kidding. She's probably just being outrageous.
Which will be immediately the cause for, a major kind of reaction of en masse by them on social media.
Yeah, it's like in their head, there's this giant chaotic image right behind their head that kind of points to the fact that they can't structure their argument or their ideas. Fucking hell. This is almost over.
And how that can be mobilized as much as it can be mobilized by the right. And I think what I understand by theology in that sense is a certain moral dogmatism, which is not open to the recognition that, yes, humans are fallible, but, there's something to be rejoiced in being kind of outrageous. And there's something to be rejoiced in terms of saying, well, actually,
Yeah, why not rejoice? Say what you will about the Nazis. Snappy dresses. Wouldn't you say, Brad? The fuck? Nobody has a problem with outrageous people. David Lee Roth is still on Twitter. You dizzy fuck.
We don't have the answers to the future, but actually, let's actually speak to people we might fundamentally disagree with, because then we might be able to work out this shared crazy thing called the human condition together, rather.
Yeah, why don't we, I know it's not a good idea to gargle broken clamshells to cure a sore throat, but I'm sure if somebody brings it up, we should hear them out. You know what I mean? Because first of all, it'll be fun. You know what I mean? It'd be outrageous.
Than being so certain about your place now in history that it doesn't entertain any alternative. And I think that to me is theology. That's not politics.
If you enjoyed that conversation between me and Brad, let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with Brad?
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to put a fucking comment in there because it wasn't a conversation, was it? Was it? You asked two fucking questions and then you fucking sat back and listened to whatever music on your fucking headphones the whole time, didn't you? There isn't a conversation. He kissed your ass and you chose that clip because he you fundamentally felt like he was shitting on all the right people, and you, like a coward, sat back and let it slide. You fucking panda.
Agree with me. What did we miss? How could we get deeper? If you enjoyed the conversation, consider subscribing to Luminary. You can get it.
No, I'm not going to do it. And secondly, tell us how we could get deeper is ridiculous, because you're utterly, both of you, judging by the only clip you put forward, the two of you are incapable of depth. That was a bunch of fucking surface level horseshit. Good fucking God. What a waste of time.
On Apple, wherever you are in the world, or you can just download the Luminary app. Please do, if that's your thing.
No,
give this video a like if you enjoyed this conversation.
No, I'm not going to do either of those things. But you guys should give me a like, because I put up with this shit.
And there's more stuff like this available to you right here. Look at this little chica.
No, it isn't, fucko. You're on Rumble. You posted this up. The only thing that's up there is your nuanced statement about the left. Why can't we be more nuanced?
And please subscribe also to my Awakening side channel where...
No, I'm not going to. And just because you do coke around your fucking, 9 shots of espresso before you do the maybe try that with the actual podcast, and then in the little ad bump of shit you throw on these clips, maybe, maybe that's the one where you eased up on the throttle a little bit and bong it out.
Talk about well-being, personal development, how to cope with this world. Do you want to live off-grid? Do you want to create a new culture, a new community?
Do you want to live off-grid? As he says, posting his shit on Rumble. Do you want to live off-grid? That fucking pile of wood hasn't changed the entire time you've been doing this goddamn show. It hasn't. We've done like 2 clips. They're few and far between. But this fuckhead, that wood pile never changes. Live off grid. Gee, where'd you hear that from? Your butler?
Have a look at this little video. Sign up to my mailing list, please. It's just one click.
Dude, you're on Rumble. Cut this part out. Have a decent... There's no clickable link at all. Look. There's nothing. This is just ads and shit. For your own... Oh, what a fucking irritant.
Away, and if you want to see me live, you can. I'm in the UK, new date.
I don't. I'm passing. There's 3 seconds left. I don't need to do ads. I'm gonna look. Russell Brand is carving out a financial corner for himself, and he uses I'm just asking questions, and I really just want the best for people, and it's the governments, it's systems that are the problem. Why don't we all just turn off and tune out? And it's something he's not gonna do it. You do it. You do it. You go live in a tiny house. You live off grid. Tell me how that geothermal's working out in the fucking woods, yeah? I'll be in this relatively large sized mansion with wood I would never chop myself because it requires physical energy. And I'll be here wearing a puffy hoodie and never skipping dessert. Look out, Alex Jones, I'm coming for you, and I've got more hair. Yeah, Jesus Christ, talking bollocks with Russell Brand. Yeah. So thanks, Rusty Rimshot, for a total waste of time.